Hello again, it's Miss Burke, and I have our read aloud for Filipino American History Month, and this is called Cora Cooks Pancit, and that's what pancit is. Let's begin. Cora Cooks Pancit, written by Dorina K. Lazo Gilmore, illustrated by Christy Valiant. Cora loved the kitchen. She loved to drink in the smells of Mama's Filipino dishes. Cora's older sisters and brother often helped with the cooking. They got the grown-up jobs like shredding the chicken or mixing noodles in the pot. They sliced vegetables and rolled lumpia into tiny egg roll shapes. Cora was stuck with kid jobs like drawing pictures in the flour or licking spoons. She longed to be a real cook. One day, Cora's three older sisters headed to the mall. Her brother darted outside with his ball glove. Now was her chance. Cora popped her head around the corner. "What are we making today, Mama?" Mama wiped her hands on the front of her red apron. She put her hands on her hips. "What would you like to make today?" asked Mama in her buttery voice. Do you think Cora's going to be able to help Mom and do maybe some of those grown-up jobs instead of kid jobs? Cora was surprised Mama was letting her decide. She scrunched up her pug nose and began to think. All her favorite Filipino foods danced in her head. These are all my favorite Filipino foods too. Lines of lumpia pranced in rows. That's what these are, lumpia. Adobo chicken legs bebopped in time. Chicken adobo. She saw a large bowl of pancit. The thick noodles and vegetables curled and swirled in a dance party. So we have lumpias, which is like the Filipino egg roll, chicken adobo, which is just a special way chicken is cooked, and pancit, which is some noodles. I bet you know which one she's going to choose to cook, don't you? Look at the title. "Will you teach me how to make pancit?" she asked. "Of course," said Mama. "Would you like to wear my red apron?" Cora was a real cook now. The apron was a little too big, but it would do. Mama helped Cora tie the strings around her back and make a neat bow at her belly button. There she is wearing her mom's red apron. "This apron belonged to Lolo, your grandpa," said Mama. "He wore it when he first came to California. He was a cook for the Filipino farm workers who picked strawberries and grapes in the fields." "Did Lolo teach you how to cook?" Cora wanted to know. "He did," said Mama, and Lolo is the way you would say grandpa in Tagalog, which is the language a lot of Filipinos speak, and Lola would be grandma. "I followed him each day to the big kitchen. He created all kinds of dishes to fill the hungry workers' tummies. While he cooked, he told stories about the Philippines where he was born." Cora nodded as she listened. "Lolo told us about the countryside where he grew up. His family harvested pineapples, bananas, and papayas. He used to eat smashed fried bananas and sweet rice wrapped in banana leaves." Cora stuffed her hands deep in her apron pockets. She imagined Mama and Lolo cooking together. She saw Lolo as a boy unwrapping the banana leaves and scooping the sweet rice from inside. So here, Cora is imagining her Lolo, her grandpa, as a little boy, and then imagining her mom as a little girl cooking with her Lolo. Cora knew the rules in Mama's kitchen. She scrubbed her hands with soap. Make sure you're always washing your hands. Mama dug in the cupboards and refrigerator for ingredients. She listed what they needed for the pancit: chicken, celery, carrots, mushrooms, onions, baby corn, cabbage, ginger, garlic, and soy sauce. "Don't forget the noodles," said Cora. "Oh yes, the noodles," said Mama. "You definitely need noodles if you're making pancit." Although I do not put mushrooms in mine. I'm not a big mushroom fan. "Let's get started," Mama told Cora. "Open the package of rice noodles and put them in this bowl of water." "Do you know why we soak them?" "So they get soft," answered Cora. "You've been paying attention," said Mama with a wink. Cora opened the package. She plopped the big clump of noodles into the bowl. Meanwhile, Mama took out some chicken she had cooked earlier. This was Mama's special stash. She used chicken for all kinds of Filipino dishes like tangan, chicken curry, and lumpia. Want to help me shred? Asked Mama. Cora's eyes grew wide, a grown-up job. She was ready. She pulled the chicken pieces apart the way her older sister Prim did. She placed them on a plate. Cora snuck a tiny bit of chicken. She rolled it into the back of her mouth before Mama noticed. The salty taste tickled her tongue. You ever do that when you're helping cook? Sneak in little bites? All chopped, said Mama. Cora arranged the vegetables in neat rows. Mama chopped celery stalks, carrots, cabbage, and onions. When Mama started slicing onions, tears ran down Cora's cheeks. She looked up and saw Mama's watery eyes. Why do you think she was crying? Onions make us cry, sang Mama. They both laughed. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah. Not because you're sad for cutting the onions, but once you cut it open, the smell or the sting, it makes your eyes watery. Mama took out her huge pancit pan with shiny copper outside and big handles. The pan was deep enough to hold all the ingredients. Cora danced on her tiptoes to see inside. Mama asked Cora to step back while she added some oil and the vegetables to the pan. The pot began to hiss and sizzle. Mama added spices to garlic, ginger, and a splash of soy sauce. Cora loved the smell of garlic. Can you check the noodles, Cora? Asked Mama. Cora scratched her head. She tried to remember what her sister Sarah did when she checked the noodles. Cora thought she should sniff the noodles. Do you think that's a good way to check if noodles are done, to smell them? But she picked up the bowl too quickly and water sloshed onto the floor. Are you making a mess? Asked Mama with pointy eyebrows. Silly Cora, you just need to touch the noodles with 2 fingers to see if they're soft. You just touch them, see if they're soft. Mama laughed and handed Cora a towel to mop up the mess. Mama went to work straining the noodles. Yeah, she put them in water to make them soft, so you don't need to smell them, huh? That's silly. Now for the fun part, said Mama. Let's add the noodles to the pancit pan. Can I stir? Asked Cora. She knew this was another grown-up job. Yes, but be careful near the burner, called Mama, who pulled out a stool for Cora to stand on. Cora began to stir in a wide circle. She watched the noodles somersault over the carrots and celery. She made the soft onions sway this way and that. The smell of ginger mixing with garlic floated to her nose. A few mushrooms escaped from the pot. I'm okay with those mushrooms leaving. Can you imagine that? I love how the author said that the noodles started to somersault, because that's a gymnastic move, and I can imagine all the noodles kind of spinning around while she was stirring. That night, Mama brought the food to the table. She set out a platter of adobo chicken, 2 plates of her special lumpia with dipping sauce, and a bowl of pineapple slices. Cora's brother and sisters came to the table one by one. Daddy sat in his usual spot at the head of the table. Cora watched his eyes grow wide as he checked out all the food. He licked his lips. Finally, Mama set the steaming platter of pancit in the middle of the table. You made pancit without us? Hollered Cora's brother, Crispin. Who did my job? Asked Prim. Who checked the noodles? Sarah needed to know. Mama replied. Cora did all the grown-up jobs. Really? Said Daddy. That's my girl. Cora scrunched together her eyebrows and bit her lip while the family tasted her pancit. I bet she's wondering, are they going to like it? Did she do a good job? What do you all think? Did she do everything right? Would they like it? Would Mama tell about the accident with the noodles? Pretty impressive, smiled Cora's sister Irene. Crispin chomped on a big spoonful of pancit and elbowed Cora. Not too bad, Crispin said. Cora grinned. Her eyes sparkled with delight. Daddy sat back in his chair. This tastes like your Lolo's pancit, he said. Cora beamed with pride. Salamat, she cried out. Thank you. The family laughed. Cora was still wearing Mama's red apron. I bet she's feeling pretty proud, don't you think? And that's the end of the story. Now, there are a few words here. I'll kind of tell you what they are. This is called the glossary. In the Philippines, more than 200 dialects and languages are spoken in different parts of the islands. Tagalog is one of the more common languages. Tagalog is what my grandmother spoke and my mom. Some words sound similar to Spanish. Just like I know if you were to count in Tagalog, it would be uno, dos, tres, cuatro, just like Spanish. Check out the meanings of these words found in the story. So you heard me say adobo. Remember, it was the chicken. Adobo is a way of cooking meat using vinegar and soy sauce. There are different versions of adobo chicken and pork. I know growing up, we always had chicken adobo. I did not grow up eating pork. We didn't eat that in my family. Lolo means grandpa, and I told you Lola is grandma. Lumpia is a Filipino version of egg rolls, and they're often filled with vegetables and sometimes meat and then wrapped and fried. I'm thinking that's what I'm going to choose to show you all how to make. Although it could be fun to make pancit since we read about pancit. Pancit is a popular noodle dish prepared in a variety of ways, depending on the family and the region they are from. The noodles are combined with vegetables and spices and sometimes meat. The pancit noodles are called rice stick noodles. And I noticed that when I was reading this book, that Cora and her family made pancit with just rice noodles, which is the white ones. I know that in my family, we use 2 different noodles to make pancit. We use the rice noodles, but we also use this like a thicker yellow noodle too. Salamat means thank you. And tanghon is made with a clear noodle called vermicelli. The noodles are combined with vegetables and often served as a side dish. And I believe they have their recipe for Lolo's pancit. So yes, you check out this book, or if you come see me, I'll make a copy for you on the copier, and you can try making your pancit at home or making Lolo's pancit recipe at home. Thanks again for listening to the story.